Step into the world of Zim Ladies Round Table, where authenticity meets advocacy. Join the movement as we share stories, connect communities, and drive progress. Find us on Instagram and Facebook at ZimLadies RT. Visit our website, ZimLadiesRT.com, and catch us on Cityscape Radio on brownstoneworldwide.com every Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Tino. I am one of the co-founders of ZimLadies Round Table. I am joined by Dr. Tafi, who is the other co-founder, and today our special guest, Janice. If you don't mind giving us a little bit of a brief intro to who you are as a person.
Sure. Thank you so much. So happy to be here with the Zim Ladies. I'm sorry, I had to put that on there. My government name is Janice, but I do go by JLeAnn. I know it's difficult for people who have known me for years, but that does speak to my personality and who I am, as I am a life coach, certified in stress, certified as a Zumba instructor, and as of recent, certified personal trainer.
Wow.
Amen. Amen, sister. You're doing it.
Listen, I'm here for us. I'm here for us.
Well, it fits perfectly as we dive into it being May. May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So we want to discuss just a few issues that come up with mental health, whether it be cultural, and what society in general when it comes to dealing with mental health. So we're going to dive into that. And as a life coach, you can give us some tips on how to handle stress. I know you tip me all the time.
Yeah.
I need
We all do.
I've known you for what? Almost 10 years, isn't it?
At
I
least.
feel like it's been at least a decade.
Yeah.
And you
Wow.
pulled me from many as stable as I look. I have people that help with the stability. So
Thank you, JLeAnn.
Listen.
I have help. So I'm grateful. Thank you again for joining us. We appreciate it. We don't take it lightly.
Happy to be here.
Mm-hmm.
Please don't forget to find us on Instagram and Facebook at ZimLadies RT. Visit our website, ZimLadiesRoundTable.com, and catch us on Cityscape Radio on brownstoneworldwide.com every Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Well, JLeAnn, we want to know, what is mental health?
Sure. So we know that there is Dr. Google and so many other avenues that are there, right? There are so many definitions. There are so many therapists. There are so many coaches that word is kind of drenched in and oversaturated. But to simplify it, when we're talking about, I think I want to go backwards. I want to say health first and then go with the mental. So that's already a change up, I know, in our mind. When we speak of health, we're talking about a manner or a state or a condition of being. So then we put mental on the front of that, then we're talking about the manner, the state, the condition of our mental being. That's what we're talking about when we're talking about mental health.
Okay. So I know some people call it having mental health issues, but you never hear it as when a physical ailment is described as an issue. It's just that it's a physical condition, right? Why is it mental health has such a stigma? Because life is tough. People go through things, or maybe you have an imbalance. And sometimes people feel as if they can't come and discuss that because of the stigma.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the world does an interesting job, and it's not just mental health, but they do an interesting job overall of culturizing us to be defined and labeled by things. Right. And so I think one of the greatest ways to begin to reconstruct and reaffirm us is to really speak positively of mental health, because the word in itself, just like I define in phrase, you heard me say nothing bad. You heard me say nothing negative. So that's where it has to start. It has to start with us not always associating illness with mental health. Right. Because if I'm ill, that is something that has to be what? 9 times out of 10 diagnosed. But when I'm talking about something in my everyday life, to your point of everyday stressors, then when I'm talking about mental health, I'm asking myself questions. How free is my mind? I'm asking myself questions like, how healthy and well is my mind? I'm asking questions like, what is my mental function and what is my mental makeup? So those are ways we begin to have the right construct, understanding, and then thus application of our mental health.
Oh, yes, that's very powerful. Do you feel like there's a cultural aspect that okay, let me ask this a different way. How do you think, how do cultural beliefs basically, or attitudes even, or behaviors regarding mental health in the community, how do you think that there's an effect on mental health as far as the cultural background comes in?
Absolutely, because cultural when you're talking about influence. And so absolutely it has an impact because it influences. So if culturally all I hear is mental health is negative and I always need to work on it, I need to work on it, I need to work on it, my mental health is bad. You hear us all the time, my mental health is bad, mental health is bad, and it grieves me.
Is it just me? Okay. I didn't want to say anything because I wasn't sure if it was just me.
And she's
Let me
gone.
pause. Let me pause it.
Okay.
There we go. Okay. There we go.
Okay. You can still be in a state around you, but it not be within you. If we talked about health being that manner or state or condition of my mental being, which is why everything around me could be crumbling and I still have unease, because within me, I have the right tools I need to function. So yes, the culture influences me, but the culture does not dictate or define me.
Speaking of culture, there's a lot of mental health awareness because of social media. Yes. But when you go onto platforms like Instagram and Facebook, primarily Instagram, it's not, there's some helpful things on there, but a lot of it has become toxic. It's not helping you thrive. It's not helping you because social media is a fake place. So you might find someone who's on the edge of, even, dare I say, edge of wanting to commit suicide, but they're painting this picture that, oh, I'm great, life is great, I'm vacationing, I'm on a boat, I'm this, I'm that. How do we combat like those issues? Because we have a lot of youth that are suffering from mental health because they're being fed so much from social media, and a lot of it is not true. And there's so many expectations that are giving adults even more stress because they're trying to live up to these social media expectations. What do we do?
Well, part of it, and I'm so glad you said that because it's a real thing, but part of it is we have to be as authentic and honest about us as possible. And so we take the power back over and in social media when we're honest about where we are. Because if we're honest, most times when we're the ones painting those pictures, telling them that we can look like whatever, and we're not okay. So it starts with who? Me. It starts with me being honest when I'm having a bad day, that I can, just like I would share when I'm high on a mountain, I share when I'm in valley low. And I share it not to get attention. That's the thing.
Right.
I share it because it's my real life situation. So that allows other people to relate in an authentic way. And it shows them that, hey, we don't always have to be up here, and nor should we always be down here. There is a level and a priority balance that my life can have. And as we show up and show that, that helps people, gives people permission to do the same. But if we keep perpetuating it by being on the same bandwagon of showing that we're perfect, then that gives and lends youth to feel like they need to do it too. So our things of what we deem as important and valuable, we have to make a shift. Because right now what we show and share is it's money, it's clothes, it's affluence, it's who you with, it's how you with who you with, it's what you wear, it's what you look like. You only your amount of worth is connected to what your clothes are worth. These things are what culture can teach. And so it's up to us to let people know by how we show, by how we relate, by how we communicate in our sphere of influence of what healthy looks like. Because when we see healthy, it sounds like broken English. And I did go to school and I do have degrees. But listen to this. When we see healthy, we be healthy.
I agree.
Seeing is being. Seeing is how we be. And the forces that be, to your point, you know, the forces that be that have agendas, and the forces that be that are trying to capture attention for all the wrong reasons, they know that too. And they're dominating in that area in a negative way. And so we have to take that back, and we can, but we have to join forces, like, for example, Zim Ladies, plug.
Absolutely. And I absolutely agree, JLeAnn. And, you know, I've noticed that, you know, when it comes to social media, and I'm not sure if Tino saw this, but, you know, if you, you know, we follow some Zimbabwean social media platforms. And lately it seems like there has been a crazy number of suicides. And I mean suicides live on Facebook even. And just a few days ago, there was a young lady who drank poison on Facebook Live. And I don't know this woman. I don't even know what her story is, but she was crying. You could see the hurt. You could see that, you know, she was struggling with something, and she just didn't have anybody to go to or anybody to help. And, you know, as we're talking about the cultural aspect of mental health, you know, when you read the comments from an African background where, you know, we're Zimbabwean, and mental health is not widely talked about. You know, when it comes to us Africans, we don't really talk about taking care of your mental health. When we meet somebody who has mental health issues, our first thing is, oh, they're crazy, right? And it just seems like lately there has been, I don't know if I want to call it, people are becoming more comfortable with doing these things online. So my question is, how do we combat that? How do we touch these people? How do we reach out to them just to, you know, let them know that, you know, somebody cares? Because it's, when I tell you, it's been every couple of weeks, there was a young man who committed suicide live on Facebook as well, not a few weeks ago. So it seems like this is happening a lot more. Not only are people showing what, you know, the soft life, but people are now openly showing the hurt, but they're only showing it at the end when they're done. There's nothing that we can do about it, because at that time they're only letting us know that something is wrong when they're doing something about it, which is not necessarily how we want them to take care of themselves. So how do we combat that? How do we help the youth? How do we help people our age? Just talk to somebody, do something about it. Somebody does care. It might not be your immediate, family or friends or whatever, but how do we navigate that?
I think definitely it's multifaceted, and it's not one answer fits all. I think it encompasses a whole lot, but on a individual personal level, it's to some of the things that I already spoke to, as far as sharing and showing who we really are and how it's okay to not be okay. Right. That is a very large component of just helping people get it and helping people know. I think that another thing is to not only solely make great posts or advertisements only with Mental Health Awareness Months, right? That every day they are seeing from a communal level. So we've got a personal responsibility, but we have a responsibility to a community on a communal level, that what mental health is. And that's what I said in the beginning. I think that it starts with that definition, because if people got more of that understanding, people would know that they could build it. Mm-hmm. It's a skill that can be built. It is a way of life that can be had. And when people realize that, they're a lot less open. I mean, they're a lot more open to being able to talk about these things and connect with people. Another thing, to those that are in dire straits and at wit's ends, if you will, some of them, and I'm not trying to say anybody, I hope this is not heard wrong, that anybody can't be saved, because I do believe that. But sometimes they are too late to where we didn't recognize it. So I think that comes to us being more aware of what the signs are before they get there, because they don't have to talk them, but it's not like we can't see it. It's not like we can't see when somebody begins to isolate. Mm-hmm. It's not like we can't see when somebody does too much gloating, when they're too happy. It's like, nah, what's wrong? It's those things, and making awareness to be like, you okay, you good? And us not being afraid to address or communicate with someone without judgment, right? Because that's also the thing. Girl, I was noticing this about this person, or I saw this about that person. It turns into a gossip show, and it turns into picking apart, and it turns into talking about. And that is some of the fears that people have when they're in those states. Yes, some of them don't have family, but others of them have family. They don't want their family to not think they're not well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They don't want the people that they do have around them to know that they need help, because oftentimes they are helpers. Mm-hmm. Oftentimes they are the ones who is being and doing in one capacity or another was that, and then life happened or whatever happened, they had some type of dysfunction, and now they're operating differently. So I do think that there's an individual responsibility, and I think there's a collective communal responsibility that we have to continue to build awareness that is outside of a month, from commercials to advertisements to not so much, you see those I don't want to call them infomercials, but sometimes they're reels and different things like that on social media. Mm-hmm. And they're like, and I see them shared sometimes, and I'm like, Lord help us all, because they're like those ones that you don't need them, get rid of them. We don't realize how that's toxic too. Mm-hmm. like as much as if you're not careful, you'll begin to just shut and chop everybody off, and then you won't have any relationships. So we have to be careful about what we say and what we think mental health is, because sometimes we're fueling these people to really be worse off than they need to be. So we have to treat it delicately, and we've got to keep love. I know people don't like that word anymore for some odd reason, but we've got to keep love at the forefront of what we do, of what we think and who we are. We have to.
Mm-hmm. That's true, because there's so many posts on social media about you don't need them if they're this and that and that. Just cut them off. It's not necessary in life. You can find and build a community, and you can. But you can't live a life of just cutting everybody off.
Right.
Right. And if you do that, you have to ask yourself, how is that growing me?
Exactly.
At the end of the day, how is that? Okay, I cut everybody off. How is
Where's
that
the growth?
causing me to have responsibility over myself? How is that building my self-accountability? How is that building my love bank, my any bank? Like just dropping people? That's not life. We were created to do life with others. Now, I'm not saying with everybody, let's be clear, but we were created to do life with others, and we have to get healthy with ourselves so that we can do that. And we can get healthy, but we have to keep doing these things like this. And sometimes it sounds redundant. Sometimes it's overwhelming. Sometimes we need a break, all those things, but we can't let up on what's going to make us better. We can't.
That's right. That's right. So I'm wondering, do you think that religious or spiritual beliefs play a role in coping, our coping mechanisms, or even just our resilience against mental health difficulties in our community?
Yes, I think of a song, one of the stanzas of a song by Donald Lawrence, and it talks about how we're not a natural being have a spiritual experience. We're a spiritual being having a natural one.
Ooh.
So I say that to say at our core of our being, we are spirit. We're a spiritual being that is encountering this earth. We live in a body and we possess a soul. So when it comes to how important our spirit man is, or our spiritual health is, because health is about a man or a state or a condition, that has to be a priority and number one, because out of the spirit flows everything else. We also have scripture that backs that up, because it tells us to what? Guard our heart, because out of it flows the issues of what? Life. So the things that come out of us is because of what? What's within us, which is why this has to get built. So yeah, it matters. It's influenced by it. If you don't have it, you're going to be missing a piece of you. And that's what led me. And I crack up so much because I get so much flack. And people say, "Are you sure? Like you are a personal trainer?" It's like, absolutely, I am. Why? Right. Because at the end of the day, health is a way of life and not a size. It's a way of life and not a size. And the body, I take care of my body because it's a temple, but it's the outer shell of my inner being. But my inner being must be fed. My inner being must be treated right. My inner being must get the level of love, care, compassion, concern. What do they do with cars? Maintenance. It must get these things, because if it doesn't, I don't care how well I look, I'm still damaged. So yes, my spirit matters because the Creator created me. The Creator is a spirit. He created me. I'm a spirit. He breathed life into me, and that life gonna go one day, and I'm gonna go back to spirit. So because I'm gonna go back to spirit, I better take care of my spirit.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I absolutely agree with that. And so considering, since staying on the cultural background topic, right? We're Zimbabwean, you're African American. What have you observed a cultural difference between how, and I know you've known Tino for, you said, 10 years now, right? So you have a little bit of an insight to our culture as well. Have you observed any cultural differences when it comes to dealing with mental health between, African Americans and us, Africans or Zimbabweans even?
I think that, and I think it could be us as a whole too, but avoidance is real.
Yes.
Avoidance is a real thing. That is a real observation. That's what I'll say.
Yes.
It's a real observation. We are accustomed, as you all are accustomed to working. We work until we can't work no more. And we function that way, though it can be dysfunctional. And so if we have checked off our list and things are done, we're good. But we've not taken care of the things internally with us, and we avoid them because we couple them with what we're doing for our family, what you're doing for your family, or what our culture upholds and believes in. And sometimes what your culture upholds and believes in is not healthy. Sometimes what your culture upholds and believes in is not right. Sometimes what your culture upholds and believes in is not necessary. Right. So you have to make elimination for real. And we don't always give ourselves to that. And I have observed that through some that I know.
I had to learn one thing that JLeAnn has taught me is that you just need to say how you feel. Because I would call and I would complain and I would grumble, I would cry. And she'd be like, well, did you tell them? And I'm like, should they know? Their behavior should just tell that this is not okay. But you have to learn to advocate for yourself. Because people sometimes people don't know they're doing something that affects you. It could be someone, family members that are close. You have to be your own advocate. And sometimes people are not going to like when you speak up for yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So at the end of the day, it's unfortunate. There's some situations where you have to either choose yourself or continue to allow certain things to happen. And I think I've seen my own growth when I began choosing myself. There are moments where if I can't, I can't. It is what it is. I have to choose my own mental health because at the end of the day, I have to sit with myself. And if I am unable to sit with myself and I'm anxious and I'm angry, I'm getting bitter feelings or whatever have you, that is not for me. Right? You have to advocate for yourself. You have to know that you're just as much worth it as the next person. And a lot of people struggle with worth. And I was listening to something on Instagram about self-esteem and how it's kind of selfish for you to have low self-esteem because you weren't as Christians, believe in God. That's not how we were brought up. God doesn't want us to be timid. God doesn't want us to hold back. We're not supposed to live that way. So that's something that I've been listening to myself over and over, that you can't live that way. You're worth it. You're more than enough. And find your path and just keep it moving. Your mental health is important. If it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you, and that's okay.
I agree. Oh yeah, and just like JLeAnn said, we work. We work. I go to work in the morning. I come back home to do some more work every day. Every single day. And I realized that I feel like it's intentional to an extent because it kind of keeps me away from worrying and thinking about all my problems because I'm busy. I'm constantly busy. When I get home, I hop on my computer. I might look for something to eat, or as soon as I put my bag down, I'm sitting right here at my desk and working. And until I have to go to bed, and within that time, I'm not really thinking about my problems. I'm not thinking about or worrying about anything because I have my head down, but then the day that I really actually don't have a lot to do, all that comes back up every single time. And that's because I haven't dealt with it. I haven't taken care of it. I haven't taken care of myself even. And, I'm learning to, it's okay to have that downtime and feel and understand myself and just learn, okay, what's going on with me? Because I am
that's mental health, Dr.
Yeah.
That's what I'm that's what it is. That's why you can't avoid it. Yes, that's what it is.
Oh yeah. And I'm literally one of those people who will walk into my job and no one will ever know that I was crying in the car.
Mhm.
They'll never know that I have issues because I walk in and they will tell you, I walk in, good morning, everyone. And I stay at that level throughout the entire day. When I get home, I'm on my computer, I'm working again. And I just don't, and I'm learning to give myself that time. And even my little sister just messaged me today. She was like, you've been complaining that you haven't had a day where you can sleep in. And but mind you, sleep in is like till 7 a.m. That's my, oh, I slept in today. Okay.
Mm.
Because I'm up at 5:30 every day trying to go work out at 6 a.m. And just staying on the go and staying busy. And I've always thought that staying busy is a good thing, which it is to a certain extent. But always I'm learning to take some time to just feel and understand myself and learn and understand what's going on with me and deal with it and fix it if I can, right? Do I need to go to therapy? And lately I've been feeling like that. I'm like, you know what? I need to go back to therapy. And not because
And
there's
I think
anything
that
big happening. I just need some maintenance, you know?
and I think that that's healthy. That's what I'm saying. I think that that's healthy, and we have to have those conversations and connection points. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and then we have to understand and distinguish therapy from coaching, because therapy does deal a lot with things that you need to heal. So when you think
Yes.
about therapy, think about healing. But coaching, which is why for me, though I have a background where I got my master's in psychology and I've developed the theories of personalities and all that type of stuff, I really translated into coaching, because coaching speaks to empowering you to achieve,
Mhm.
and coaching speaks
Yeah.
to helping you get unstuck.
Mm.
Coaching speaks to accelerating you and allowing you to stop the unhelpful habits that you've been having and replacing them with helpful disciplines that you can live by.
Mm.
That's different. And that causes you to shift from point A to point B and go to C until you get to the end of the alphabet of Z. Coaches help you elevate to levels that you weren't at, and to get to where you need to be.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, it has really been a wonderful conversation. Do we have any
Always.
final thoughts that we can share with everyone? Final thoughts, tips.
Never be afraid of, and never think that you can do too much of self-assessing,
Mm.
because self-assessment helps you make the necessary changes in your life. And when you think about mental health, remember that it includes your emotions that you need to feel. It includes your psychological state that you need to think, and it includes your social aspect that you need to be. So you need to be in community. You need to be with people. You need to be with those who are giving you things, and they need to be safe. They need to be invigorating. They need to be non-toxic.
Yeah.
They need to have boundaries, and it's okay to have boundaries. Boundary speaks to a line that makes limits and allowances of something. And so sometimes people don't like boundaries because they're like, I don't want to have limits. But let me ask you a question. How safe would it be if roads didn't have lines or markers?
Oh,
How safe would it be if we had no traffic lights?
Not, not safe at
And
all.
so, though we get tired of stopping and we get tired of having to be in this lane and we get
Yeah.
tired of having to do this, why do we do it? We do it because it's a matter of life.
Mm.
And that's what I leave you with. Take care of your mental health because it's a matter of life for you. It improves your life. It helps you live right. You're talking about why you so down and out, because you're not building yourself up. Build
Right.
yourself up. Encourage yourself. Love on yourself. Take your,
Yes.
those type of things is what you got to do, and you'll be blessed and you'll feel fulfilled in your life. I promise you that. It's been a pleasure. Thank you, Tinto and Dr. Taffy. That's all.
Thank you so much, JLeAnn. Thank you so much. Well, let people know where they can find you. You are a life coach, so and you said a personal trainer as well. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You know,
I
where
got to
can
make
people
this
find you?
200 pounds loss mean something. I got to
Okay.
make it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Where can we find you, JLeAnn?
Right now, the best way, the most quickest, efficient way to reach me is by email, as on outlaying some things. But you can find me at JLeAnnCo@gmail.com. That's my name, JLeAnnNCO@gmail.com. If you want, I'm on Facebook as Janice LeAnn. So when Tino said Janice, she wasn't telling a story. It's JANECE. And then LeAnn is my middle name. And you can find me on Facebook there, and then on Instagram, which I'm trying to do better. I'm gonna get my life together one day. But I'm on there as Life with JLeAnn.
Awesome. Thank you so much, JLeAnn. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. This was an absolutely amazing conversation on mental health. Again, we are celebrating Mental Health Awareness Month. So you can find us on Instagram and Facebook at ZimLadies RT. Visit our website, ZimLadiesRT.com, and catch us on Cityscape Radio and BrownstoneWorldwide.com every Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And once again, thank you, everybody.
All right. Thank you.